before the snow flies?
Is that really happening? Is that happening?
I think so.
Yeah, man, I gotta watch it. I gotta check the weather.
Any minute, as a matter of fact.
Not till
At least
8.
I got
8 o'clock.
No, you'll make me neurotic about it.
All right, so go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Maple Run Unified Board of Directors to order. Tonight is February 2019. We're meeting at Fairfield Center School. Start time is 6:04. Tonight we have 8 directors present, representing 7.5 votes. First thing we'd like to do is the agenda review. I would like to, first of all, delete item 7 Charlie, which is the ESP contract. It hasn't been ratified yet, so we won't be looking at that tonight. In its place, I would like to put item 7C, open meeting law reminder. Talk about that for just a little bit. Is there anything else anyone would like to add to the agenda tonight?
It depends. Did you have something you wanted in executive session? Or have you decided against that?
Only if it's on the agenda, Mike.
Okay.
Does anybody want to put anything on the agenda for tonight?
No?
Let's do this one thing
Got a seat for you.
before we close it. 9 directors, 8 votes. So we're just starting and we're doing the agenda review.
Okay.
We've removed one item. I've added one item about the open meeting law. And I'm asking the board if there's any other items they'd like to place on the agenda for this evening. All right. Look for a motion to approve the agenda
So
as
moved.
modified. Thank you, Mike.
I'll second it.
Steve? Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Agenda is approved 8-0. Ask everyone to please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that brings us to item 4, which is visitors. Are there any visitors tonight who'd like to address or give testimony to the board tonight?
Oh, you need the Wi-Fi too? Here, give it to me.
Okay, none, we'll move on.
Somebody raised their hand.
I'm sorry, someone raised their hand. I'm sorry.
I might be considered a visitor. I'm going to be presenting the playgrounds.
Okay, so you're part of the presentation?
Okay.
Anybody else? You get a special. Okay, then we'll move on to host site presentations.
Great.
John?
Thank you. I'm going to start actually with Jessie Byers, our science teacher. You may recognize her as a former curriculum director who is now the Fairfield science teacher, along with another former curriculum director who is now the Fairfield principal. And we've got another curriculum director, so we're wondering what job she'll have at Fairfield eventually. So Jessie Byers and her students, we've got Emma Archambault and we've got Nick Farinaccio, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about trout.
All right, so back in October, we were contacted by the organization Trout Unlimited, and they asked us if we'd be willing to host a trout tank in our classroom to raise brook trout and then release them into a local stream. They had heard about our outdoor classroom programs and reached out to us to see if we wanted to participate because of that. So we were intrigued and excited, and we went for it. And Emma and Nick are going to share what we've been doing and what we plan in the next few months.
Okay, so we recently joined Trout in the Classroom program. We started and we're continuing to raise brook trout in our science classroom. So these people came and they gave us a fish tank, and they walked us through the steps of setting it up and putting it in our classroom, so we knew what was going to be happening in it. And we set up the filter so that it would keep it clean, and the chiller to keep the temperature at the same level so that the fish would be able to live. And once they get big enough, we're gonna release them into a local stream, and they're gonna hopefully increase the population of the brook trout.
So here's just some facts about brook trout. It's one of Vermont's native fish. It is a very resilient fish. They can survive from 32 Fahrenheit up to 70 Fahrenheit. They can also survive a variety of pH levels, from 3.5 to 8, but 7 is ideal. And pH level is basically how acidic the water is, or how basic it is. And an ideal habitat for the brook trout is a slow-moving, shallow stream with a rocky bottom.
Okay, this is the brook trout life cycle. So there's pictures and some notes, which I'll go over later. But this is laying the eggs. The eggs when they are like still in their egg form, and then the fry with the little egg sacs, which is what they survive off of while they like can't swim up to eat. And then they stay in the shallow water when they're about this size, and they can like eat food because they don't have the egg sac still connected to them. And then adult fish, they can swim around and do whatever they want to. In the fall, the adult females find a spot to lay her eggs in the gravel, and she makes like a red. So she takes her tail and like flaps it around and then lays the eggs and then covers them up. And she'll lay between 20 and 400 eggs, which is a lot of eggs. In the winter, the eggs, they had the big black dot on them because you can actually like see the eyes of the fish inside of them. The nutrition that they live off of comes from the yolk in their egg sac. The water needs to be around 35 degrees Fahrenheit to 55 degrees. And they're very sensitive, so it like can't change. In the spring, the eggs are still in the red, and they hatch from February to March. When the yolk sac is like all used up and gone, they start to begin eating on their own. In the summer, the young trout will stay in the shallow water to kind of protect themselves from like the predators. They'll reach 2 to 3 inches by the end of summer, and by the time they're an adult, the only native trout have a dark green body with a light wormy lines, orange fins with white edges around them, and red dots with kind of bluish circles around them, and square tails 5 to 10 inches.
And so here are some pictures of our trout so far. So this is about like, I think the first day we got them, and this is the first one that hatched, so to say. It's still, you know. And this was about, I think, a couple weeks ago when they all seemed to be hatched except like a few. And so far, that's what we've got on the pictures. Right now, they're currently about 2 centimeters. So.
Yeah. So this is what the shell of the egg looks like. I don't know if you can see it, kind of like a bubble when they hatch. So that was the first one that we saw hatched. And it was like 2 to 3 days after we got the eggs that I saw it, and I was like getting really nervous because they said if the eggs turn white, then they're dead, and you have to like take them out or else they're gonna like kill all the other ones. So we kind of saw that, and there was like something clear poking out of it, and I was like, what is that, Miss Byers? Like, something's wrong. And I thought that it died, so we took it out and like put it in a cup of water, but it hatched. So good thing we didn't like let it dry up.
And so this is another project we had. This is about the nitrogen cycle. There's other chemicals that you have to keep like control of in a fish tank because in a like moving stream the water moves, so these aren't as dangerous. But ammonia, it damages their gills, impairs stunts in growth, and very toxic. It kills a lot of fish, and you can only have like levels from 0 to 3. And once the levels are at 3, the fish die. And then this is nitrate. It's about as toxic as ammonia, but a bit better. I'm having a bit of trouble reading that, but oh yeah, I remember. It messes with their blood so that they don't grow right and will eventually kill them. And then the last one is nitrate. which it goes from levels of 0 to 100. When it's about 100, it starts to kill the fish. But so they can withstand a lot of that. So having that like in a good level is usually where it is. And so this is like how the levels should go in the fish tank. The ammonia, when you first start up, will go high, but it will eventually die. And then the ammonia causes nitrate, and when the nitrate goes down, the nitrite goes up, and you have to just keep filtering the water so it goes up and down, not going too high for fish. And so this is what our graph looked like right about until we got the fish. So we were about good last second. See, at the start, our ammonia levels were way too high, and they went down. But then the nitrite came up, nitrate came up, and then nitrite came up, and then the nitrate. It started a bit earlier than we expected, but that was at 80 for a long time. But that went down just as we got the eggs. So that was good.
So to take care of the brook trout, they're very sensitive fish, so you have to make sure that you have the right habitat and the right water temperature. So to make sure that there's not too much ammonia and nitrate in the tank, we have to test the water like every so often. We had to test it every day for a while. I don't think we're doing that anymore.
Every couple of days.
Every couple of days. Because when we were preparing for the eggs, they're most sensitive when they're eggs. So you had to make sure that there was not too much, or else once we put the fish in, like, it would not be good for them at all. And we have a chiller connected to it, so it regulates the water temperature, and we can always tell, like, what the temperature is, so we know if it's not too high and, like, not too low, so that they can live and last until we set them free.
And so releasing the trout, we're going to be releasing the trout in May as like a class trip. They're going to the Tyler branch. So this is the whole watershed for Missisquoi River watershed. We're Black Creek. I'm not sure if he says Fairfield there. And we're going to be releasing them in the Tyler branch of our watershed. Earlier this year, we went to plant trees for the watershed because the trees would help clear up the waters and cycle the nutrients. And that's where we're going to be releasing the eggs.
Why did you choose the Tyler branch?
We actually, we're not able to choose the release site. It has to go through Vermont Fish and Wildlife. So they try to find a release site that's as close as possible to the school because it's easiest to do the field trip that way, and they want to keep it local. And there are no release sites in the Black Creek watershed, and so that was the closest one.
That's a well-known fishing site anyway.
Yes,
for trout.
it is. It is. I think the stream temperatures are a little bit colder in the Tyler branch than Black Creek.
And when do you release them, in May?
Yes, and then
How big will they be then?
2 to 3 inches.
Yeah.
Who watches them on the weekends?
They can make it through most weekends on their own. Right now, we're at an important period. They're about to do something called swim up. A few have finished off their yolk sac and have started to feed on their own. Most of them are still living off the yolk sac, so we do have to check them every day at this point.
It must be available to you of some formulation.
Yeah, it's a basic fish link kind of food.
Trout shop.
Are either of you trout fishermen?
no.
Now my brother.
Does it make you interested in being one of those? It's a great sport.
Possibly.
Possibly, okay.
We do have a number of students in the middle school who fish,
I'm
and
sure.
we're super excited that we were doing this, and we're hoping to get some people to come in and do a demo of fly fishing and fly
Great.
tying and things like that too.
So this starts over again next year.
We hope. All of the equipment was donated by Trout Unlimited, and it's about $1,200 worth of equipment, and it's ours to use as long as we do a good job with the fish.
So you could repeat this project? Good.
Yeah.
Do you think participating in this experiential learning made it easier for you to learn the same concepts that you were learning, just in the book maybe last year?
Yeah, yes, I do, but I like the model because you could actually take care of it, and that's an opportunity that some schools don't really have, and if you actually care more about it because you're helping out by fixing the temperature of your stuff and taking care of the water and the fish. And
So when you get the water, when you start this, you gotta measure the ammonia in it, and so there's ammonia in water in general, or?
We
Or-
actually added ammonia on purpose,
That's what I was
and we
saying.
added some bacteria on
Okay.
day one.
To grow nitrates, is that?
So that we could start the nitrogen
Okay.
cycle going before the fish eggs came in.
Okay.
And that's what they had to monitor over the first month or so.
So it was just tap water that you had, or just from the?
Tap water, and there's a chemical we put in to take out any kind of chlorine or other
Yeah,
heavy metals and things like that.
okay.
And then the water's run through a filter? Is that what I heard?
yes,
We have a filter on it.
So did you research any other species that can actually get into the water and help you clean up some of those nitrates and nitrites naturally? Did you try to look into that?
Well, at the beginning of when the guys came in to first explain it, they said that having the cycle, like there is specific bacteria that will eliminate the ammonia, but I'm not remembering it exactly, but there is some. I don't know why we use these, but assuming they were easier to get, easier to control, maybe they stay alive for longer, and especially maybe with the temperature of the water, because it's got to be cold all the time.
I know you both talked about another way that we could take care of the nitrate, right? But we're not allowed to do it in this one.
Oh, yes, we could put other plant life in there to help the nitrate and the whole cycle, but the Trout in the classroom people don't want us doing that because then when the plants die, there will be more ammonia to take care of.
It must make you wonder how the fish survive at all.
Yeah.
It seems very complex, doesn't it?
The water flow is a little different in the rivers than in streams than we have in our tank. And they're kind of, well, we're kind of babying them a little bit. Like, they kind of can watch what other fish are doing while they're in the streams and in the rivers. So, but it is very confusing. I don't know if I'd be able to be a fish.
We have not yet done a series of lessons on survival rates, but
That was my next question.
after break, we're going to look at survival rates of brook trout in the stream versus eggs that come from a hatchery and compare those expected survival rates to what we see in our tank. We're just waiting till they get a little bit older and see them start to
Sarah,
develop.
should you go out in the stream and count and get a, or, I mean?
Oh, no, we're going to be looking at a data set.
Okay.
How are you taking
Could I
care
ask
of
what
them over break?
grade?
Some of the teachers are, like, they have a schedule and they're gonna set up different days to come. And because there's only a certain number of hours where the fish lose their egg sac and don't have any more of the nutrient from the yolk, that they start trying and swim up and get food, and if there's not food there, then they'll never be able to, like, eat on their own. There's how many hours?
It's a 40-hour window.
40-hour window that you have to make sure that they get the food then, or else they won't be able to get it.
So we'll be visiting every 40 hours over break between three of us.
What grade are you both in?
We're both in 8th grade.
Yeah, but this program, the 6th and 7th graders do help out, but as far as I know, it's mainly in the 8th grade that we're doing the whole unit on it.
Well, number one, I want to say your presentation was very good, excellent.
Thank you.
And number two, I think with young people like you, we're bound to have a good next 100 years. So, keep doing that. Well, I could be like Channel 5 and say, math and science. equals success.
That's right.
Good job.
Any other questions?
No, but thank you very much.
I just want to say that Jessie Byers does a wonderful job of doing experiential learning with her kids, trying to make science real, relevant, and interesting to them. So thank you, Jessie, for that. And thank you both. You did a great job. And next, I have Bridget Garibay, who's going to talk to us about some exciting playground projects.
So, sorry to stand behind you, but I just wanted to take a couple minutes to let you all know about a couple of playground projects that my husband and I have really taken a great interest in and spearheaded the best we can to move forward. My husband Valdemar and I, we've been interested in playgrounds probably ever since we've had kids. I was probably interested in them when I was a kid, but I don't remember other than the usual. We love taking our kids out to the playgrounds. Our oldest son is particularly social, so he always was begging to go and see the other kids at the playground. And when we came up to Fairfield School, we noticed our oldest son, who's 8 now, the preschool kids were playing on the big playground. And around that time frame, they determined that it was not a safe place for the little kids to play on. And so we had heard about a project that the preschool teacher at the time was hoping to accomplish, where they were going to make a preschool playground. So we were very interested in that, but it didn't really kind of take off at that point in time. But we had that in the back of our mind, that there was a need there. Then last year, over the summer, my husband was talking with Dave Kimmel over at Collins Pearly. We had just finished working on another project, and he was kind of looking for a new project to put his passions into. And Dave Kimmel has apparently many projects that he could enlist somebody who has a passion. And as they were talking in his office, he saw the flyer for the playgrounds, and he said, "Yes, we like playgrounds. We're happy to work on that." So that's how we kind of got started on the discussion about the Collins Pearly playground. And after we started on that playground, we reignited the conversation about the preschool playground here, because we now have our 3rd child in preschool, and we have another one after that. So we've got a few preschool years ahead of us to utilize a preschool playground. And so we started that project off. So let's see. So we'll go look really quickly at the Fairfield School pre-K playground first. So basically what we have on this playground, we wanted to have a structure for kids to climb and play and slide. And on the structure you have, there's a panel here that plays animal sounds. There is a little seat for the kids to sit underneath. There's a bench on the side, and then we have little riding toys, and also this jacks which kids can climb on and jump on. Here we have like some music panels, bongo drums. This is a piano. This one of these is a piano, where they can actually like play the keys and play music. And this one might be I think this one might be a xylophone. And then like a balance beam. And our kids, we've seen these at other playgrounds. Our kids love these balance beams, so we really wanted to get those. And because it's a pre-K playground, it does need a fence surrounding it, so to keep the kids safe. So this is the evolved vision for this playground. And once we kind of we got started on the project, we put the information out to the community. We had some really great support The committee that we're working on, so is my husband and myself. Dr. Odell has been a tremendous support. Liz Ebbs has been a tremendous support as well. She's really helped get the word out there. And that's been our team. So far, we have collected over $28,000 in donations. This has been just, we've been just so grateful for the support. Particularly, I want to mention Grady's Golden Goodness has been just, they just came in and they loved we actually had put the B in there already, and we said, you know what, this is great. It's a great tie-in for us and for Grady's Golden Goodness as well.
Can I just ask real quick,
Yes.
where's that located?
So this is going to be located effectively right next to the big playground.
Okay.
So, this is obviously a community resource as well. So families that come to play, who have older kids and younger kids, will be within close proximity to the older kids.
Will any trees need to be taken down?
No, I don't believe so.
What was the question?
And
Just
so any
wondering if any
trees need to come down. The surface underneath, this is engineered wood fiber, which has been shown for durability and also good for mobility. If we ever have any students here that have mobility issues, engineered wood fiber is it works well for getting around. And there's also things for kids like that to do with the panels and the seating area underneath and that sort of thing. We also have, which it's not visible on this picture. Oh yes, it is. It's right here. We also have a panel for Alex's Lemonade Stand. And for those of you who are not aware, Alex's Lemonade Stand is a foundation that supports research and support for childhood cancer. So this is kind of a neat addition. The purchase of the panel itself makes a donation to Alex's Lemonade Stand. And also, it's great for imaginative play. The kids can, pretend that they're serving lemonade to each other and so on. Let's see. Our donors are Grady's Golden Goodness, Rise Vermont, Rotary International, St. Albans Chapter, Representative James Gregoire, Stone's Shell, and the Knights of Columbus located in St. Albans. And also just wanted to mention, again, we're appreciative of our team, Dr. Odell, Liz, Miss Leah helped us out a lot with feedback from the kids and teachers, friends, and also especially the community. So, does anyone have any questions about the Fairfield Playground? Yes.
What's the estimated cost to provide it the way what you've got drawn there?
This, so we've raised 28, and I think we have made our goal with the 28,000. We were expecting it to be lower than that, but then we found out about the fence, the need for the fence, and that was around the time when Grady's Golden Goodness stepped in and helped us out, and we also received a couple of additional donations after that, so I think that we're good.
Pretty much
Good.
fully funded?
Of course, if anyone feels compelled to donate, we can
Donations always
add,
welcome.
Well, we can always add more pieces of equipment to
There's a lot of room
this.
for that,
Yeah.
And there is some space, so please feel free to contact the team, us. We'd be happy to.
The order was placed for the amount of $26,917,
Perfect.
but that doesn't include the fence.
And so Sean,
Is it
did you,
rated for a certain number of children?
I'm not sure, actually. My husband, he knows all the nitty-gritty details, and our babysitter bailed at the last second. And he opted to watch the 4 kids instead of do the public speaking part, so.
So each structure has its own rating for a number of
Yes.
kids. So the big climbing structure, I think can handle 15 kids, and our capacity in pre-K is 14. So then you've got like the Beetle, you can put 1 kid on that. The Bee, I think you can put 2 kids on that.
This one's 2.
The balance beams don't have any particular number, so it definitely has enough room for everybody we have in our classes on a given day.
What are the dimensions of the stage?
Let's see.
call for a question for sure.
I think we have I don't have the dimensions. I do have the dimensions of the big one.
So Sean, real quick, did you find leftover money from the other playground from years ago?
So I did access $1,500 of our own funds that came through that old account. And then the rest of that, well, we're still kind of using for the upkeep.
Yeah.
We've got like a 10-year warranty, I think it was, on the big playground. There's some pieces that needed replacing, so we've pulled some money together to get all of that fixed as well. So we accessed a little bit.
I know there was like $5,000 left when we finished it or something. I knew we had to keep it for our
Right.
keys, but,
Yeah.
So is this going to be on town land too, or just?
No, it's on school property.
On school property.
The current playground is actually on school property. It's not on town land.
It's all school property. There's a permanent lease from the town. But my question is there any input from the town? Since it's part of, you're saying it's part of the town park?
It's not, it's part of the school, but we're just gonna open it to the town, just like the playground that's currently there. They have a lease on it. Well, we don't need a lease, we're just gonna let people use it.
I just saw maybe the rec department would have money that.
Did we ask the rec department?
I thought that we did, and I don't remember.
I don't feel like we got funding from the rec department.
I remember discussing it in the beginning of the conversation. I think that we reached out to them and they did not have funds for this.
Yeah, but everybody who has seen the plan, including people through rec, and we had a poster of it at Harvest Dinner. Everyone who's seen it has been really supportive of it. So I think the fact that in the Fairfield community we're getting a play structure for kids ages 2 through 5 now is just a value added to our community. And it's also actually going to contain these little things called, is it Bebo? There's
Biba. So there's going to be a panel on here. They call them their Biba interactive playground panels. And basically what will happen is this playground will be listed on their site for playgrounds for people to come visit. That's a Biba playground, and it allows parents to download an app on their phone, and they can sort of organize like treasure hunts for their kids. There's like games that gets the parents interacting with the kids while they play on the playground. And this is something that where we can try out and see how the community likes it. And to me, it sounds like a great feature to add. And it's something that can, we're going to put it in, and it can always go out if people are not happy with it. But I think it's going to be a great value add for the playground.
We can put a little sign that says Fairfield Market that way and bring some business to James Gregoire too.
It might possibly bring external visitors to our playground, which is always be a positive thing for the community. So it's called Biba, B as in boy, I-B-A, all capitals. And I think it stands for something, but I can't.
Is it a subscription fee?
Nope, there's no costs associated with it. And the app for the families to download it's free on the App Store. There's no costs.
And what's the time frame?
The time frame is sometime this summer it's going to go in. And the other thing I just want to mention, Dr. Adele talked about the repairs to the existing playground and the monies that were in the fund. And the timing of doing this is really good because we are still in the warranty period for that original playground, and we did find several warranty repairs that we were able to accomplish for that playground. Some joints were rusted out and needed replacing. So we were glad to be able to recognize that and get those fixes made while it's still under warranty and doesn't cost the community anything. The other thing that we're looking at, and we haven't solidified, is the elimination of the Pea Stone on that upper playground, which would be a really good thing to do. Anyone who's had a handful of Pea Stone thrown at them as a parent would probably agree.
Just a little background on that. That was going to be a rec department project to actually take that Pea Stone out, use it, and then let whoever paid for the other stuff to come in. And it's not deep enough to begin with. So that's the project that was on their books at one time. I don't know if that would help you to.
I think we've got a plan for
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
The distributor that we're working with, he can come in and remove it, because it's not just a simple dig it out. It
I
has
know.
to be like vacuumed out and moved because of the way the Pea Stone is. So we've got some ideas about how to get it out and potentially reuse it. We have to work out the details. So really quickly, jumping over to the Collins Pearly Playground, since this is the general board meeting, and this affects the St. Albans community. As I mentioned, this was our original large project. And so this playground is, we started this playground project in August. So far we have collected donations almost to $116,000. We need to reach $134,000, so we're still in that final lap. But we had made our original goal, and then we've had some feedback from the local community about making the playground more accessible for kids who have mobility concerns. So ironically, the timing of when those discussions came up were also at the same time when the Miracle Equipment was coming out with their new brochure, a sale brochure, and on the brochure were a lot of ramp-style playgrounds. So we basically went back to the drawing board, and Valdemar and Bob Pettinelli from Pettinelli Associates together designed this ramp-style playground. It's not off the brochure, but it's a combination of the things that we feel after communicating with community members, with NCSS, meet to the best we can, meet the needs that will really benefit the community. So this is going to be behind Collins Pearly. The walking path, it's a little hard for me to see. There's a walking path that's going to be coming back on this side. And the idea is that the kids will be able to enter the playground right from the walking path or from here. So for children who may be in a wheelchair, they would basically be able to roll a short distance on the engineered wood fiber onto the ramp, and then they have access to this. This is an Alta Glide. It has, it's a wheelchair accessible gliding piece of equipment. There's panels here, interactive panels. They can go through here. There's more panels. There's just, you know, lots of things that are accessible, and then these are stairs, so they would not be able to go all the way to the top. But obviously, the regularly abled kids would be able to go all the way to the top. There are many slides. We have this 10 spin where the kids can sit on it's like a merry-go-round. The kids can sit and spin on it. This is I can't remember the name. It's like a saucer. Our kids, we saw one of these, and it was a lot of fun, even for kids who have just regular kids. You know, they just dogpiled on it and swing. So, and then this is just general athletic equipment, monkey bars, pull-up bars, etc. We've got some balance beams over here, like a climbing dome, a little school bus, climbing apparatus, a couple of riders, some swings, toddler swings, a generational swing that allows an adult and a child to swing together, and regular kid swings. And then we've also got some play panels here with the music, like similar to the pre-K playground. So our goal was to tie in, you know, educational, health, fitness, safety, fun for the kids. As I mentioned, we met with a number of community members. Our donors, Grady's Golden Goodness, also made a very kind donation to this playground. Rotaries International, Rise Vermont, the Knights of Columbus made a very large, very much appreciated donation. And our team for this playground, which has been, you know, just one of the greatest things that has been for us to work on with such great teams on both these projects. This project we've worked with Dave Kimmel, Jeff Moreau, and Denise Smith We also got feedback from Heather Blackburn, friends, family, NCSS, and the community members. So these are our playgrounds. I took, more than 5 minutes, but we're very excited about them. This is going to go in sometime in August, and there will be a lot of new places for kids to play this summer.
So will the teachers leave in the summer?
Yes, yeah. You'd be surprised that once they bring the stuff in, it goes up very quick.
I do it in a day, usually.
This one is going to be a community build, so we're going to be looking for community members to help out with that when we get a little bit closer to the install date.
A quick question.
Yes.
So engineered wood fiber.
Yes.
Is that wood or synthetic?
It's wood. It's wood, but they chip it up. But it's not hard. It's not. They're not going to get splinters from it. It's smoothed. So that's why it's the engineer. They smooth it out.
Okay.
And it supposedly creates some sort of bond with each other so that when a wheelchair is going over it, it actually isn't like you're on mulch.
It doesn't
creates
cave.
It's some kind of weirdness that I read about that I couldn't really explain to you.
We'll see what Google says.
Yeah.
I guess the pieces fit together
Yeah.
when you have stress on it.
Yeah. If you look at it closely, they look like pellets that have been chopped. They have a flat side. So I imagine that as you're riding over it, they stack nicely with each other. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridget, do you want the posters down now?
Oh, sure, yes.
Is that it for the hesitation?
Sorry.
Is that it for the hesitation?
Yes.
Then we move on to excuse me, item 6, which is the consent agenda. The only thing on the consent agenda tonight is approval of the minutes of 6 February. Would anybody like to pull those out for a separate conversation? No. If not, the minutes will be adopted. There's no objections. Are there any objections? Consent agenda is adopted. Item 7, old business. Budget information final review.
Yes, so I took the information that the board gave me at the last board meeting regarding the presentation, and I've incorporated what I think you're looking for. There's still some questions on what you might want on the final presentation. So if you look at the 4th page or the 3rd where it's the agenda, I put a notation about the bond project, and the next page just basically states that there will be a bond project presentation after the budget presentation. I didn't know if that was an okay place for it. I know we discussed whether it should be at the beginning or at the end. I stuck it in there. Okay. I've gotten the updated information from the different schools, so those slides have all been updated. And I'm assuming there will be somebody from each of the schools there at the information meeting to either talk about what's on the slides or elaborate.
I'm assuming that too. Is that correct?
So the slide that I want you to look at them right now, if it comes up, there we go, is the one that says Pre-K-12 budget overview, where I had that small box at the bottom. You said you wanted it much bigger, so I want to know if that works for you at this point. I did add on there that the information on this slide was based on the budget that was adopted on 1/16, and that as of that date, there were still some things in play, which were the equalized pupil counts weren't finalized, and as of yesterday, it's pretty much final, and the numbers that I've got in the box are what should be the final numbers, which gives us a per pupil spending of $15,777 instead of the $15,837.
So the increase is really 2.17%, but on the ballot they'll see
2.56, correct, because what has to be printed on the ballot is what was adopted by the board at that meeting. So it's there so you can speak to it. There was no change on the next 2 slides, next 3 slides. The next one was the one with the Homestead equalized property tax. I made that box at the bottom larger and I added some information to it, and this also, it speaks to that the equalized pupil count wasn't finalized. But as of this date, 2/18, which is the same today, the pupil count is actually 552.69 versus the 2,543 that we had at the board meeting on the 16th.
You said it was what again, please?
Currently, it will end up, I believe it will end up being 2,552.69.
9 2/3.
So that will adjust the tax rate, because the equalized pupil count does play a part in calculating the tax rate, as well as the yield that the legislature may or may not adjust. The information we received back in December was to use a figure of $10,666 for the yield, but that gets finalized by the legislature once all the voted budgets are passed and the information is sent to the tax department. The next slide. At one point we had talked about putting the tax rate on this slide using the new equalized pupil count, but I felt it was too complicated. It would be too confusing.
Which slide are you on right now?
I'm on slide 18, the one that says the estimated homestead equalized property tax comparison.
Okay.
Okay. I thought it would be too confusing, and plus the one piece of the setting the tax rate is the equalized pupil count, but the other piece that also puts in play is the property yield, the yield. And even though we've gotten a clearer number on the equalized pupil count, the property yield isn't final. And so if I were to put different tax numbers on there, individuals would think, well, that is the final number, when in fact it's still not the final number. So and tell me if you want me to change it, but what we've got on this chart are the tax rate calculations based on the information we had on January 16th when the budget was adopted.
Based on what you know right now, 2 of those rate changes would be negative? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
If we were to, if the yield stayed the same and we only had the adjustment for the equalized pupil count, the tax rate would be actually $1.41 instead of $1.42. And so both City and Fairfield would actually see a decrease in the tax rate, be it very minimal, but it would be a decrease. City tax rate would be like 0.0004 cents. And Fairfield's would be a 0.0029 cents, so about a third of a penny. But that would still be a flat or slightly reduced tax rate. Town would still be an increase of about a penny and a quarter. But again, because the yield isn't final, those numbers aren't final either.
Without knowing what the yield is, it's impossible to give an accurate picture.
Exactly. That's why it's always been the practice that when we give tax rate information, we always stress and make sure we say it over and over and over again that these are estimated tax rates, because they're not final until the legislature sets the yield, which is usually somewhere in May or June. The next one just shows the tax rate once it's been adjusted by the common level of appraisal.
Again, assuming the tax rate from January.
Correct. Right. The next chart is the one that we discussed at the last board meeting regarding the 4-year comparison of the tax rate from FY17 when we were individual school districts compared to the proposed or the estimated FY20 tax rate. That slide can stay or go, it's up to you. I added a second slide to that, which puts that same information in a graph form. I didn't know if you liked the graph form, didn't like it, if you rather have the graph, not the table, or vice versa, or neither. So you let me know what you want, if at all.
What, is it a good story or a bad story?
Well, if you look at the graph, it shows that the tax rates for the 3 individual districts prior to merger, the tax rate was about between $1.42 and $1.46. And with our information now, we're looking, 4 years later, we're looking at a proposed tax rate of $1.42. So over a 4-year span, the tax rate has basically stayed the same. It hasn't stayed the same. It's the same as it was 4 years ago. It had a dip and it came back up a little bit and it's gone back. So it's.
Where's the incentive fit in that?
It's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah.
It's the incentive figures are included in there.
So that's not a good story.
Well,
I think it is.
if we wouldn't have voluntarily merged, we wouldn't have had those incentives. So those tax rates for FY18 would have been $1.48 instead of $1.38.
I think
So
that if you're going to keep this, Jim, this was for Kevin, I remember.
right.
The graph is easier to see than the chart, I think.
Yeah, that was my first thought too.
But I think the statement you just made is more compelling than anything else, right? Without, if we had not voluntarily
Right.
merged, or the rate would have at least been $1.48.
48.
Right?
Yep. Yes.
That's something you should put in your back pocket.
Well,
to say,
I think the important thing is between 19 and 20. If you look between FY19 and 20, we know that we strongly believe that $1.42 is high.
Yes.
And even though we lost 2 cents on the incentive, we still came down a penny in the tax rate. So that's a 3 cent swing.
Right.
So I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So
So you let me know what
I
you
think
decide.
I agree with Jeff. I'd keep the graph and lose the chart.
Lose the chart, okay, not a problem. The next slide is, and again, this is up for your discussion as to which you would prefer. I put in one slide that just did the estimated homestead tax rate impact for home site value of $200,000, one for each town to show what the increase would be, versus I have the 3 slides that follow, which is one for each town, but with the multiple home site values on. And I don't know, maybe you want all 4 slides, or I didn't know if these were a bit much with the 3 different communities with all the different values, but then again, it might be helpful for community members when reviewing it. So again, it's whatever you feel more comfortable in presenting and or explaining.
Well, I mean, the last 3 slides would just be, and here's this one, and here's
Right.
this one, and here's this one. So
Right.
I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think most people can just get an idea in their head looking at a $200,000 house.
And that's
Where their house
kind of
is
what
gonna
I thought
be.
too, and that's why I was thinking maybe one slide with the information.
What do you guys think?
I actually think that it would be helpful to have it in there. If it's not, I mean, even if you just review it real quickly and say, so very, depending on the different towns. We don't have to go into great discussion about it, but I think it's kind of helpful to see what it's like specific to my household in Fairfield.
Sure. Also, just as a point of interest, or to make point, these impacts don't include any income sensitivity adjustments.
Right.
So.
Okay, I'm fine with anything.
So do you want me to get rid of the one that just has the $200,000 value?
I think it's because that's a good comparison. I think you go for it.
Okay, all right, not a problem. And then the rest The only adjustment I made were to the ballot item sheets, and it was the one that had the ballot item number 4. You asked me to put the verbiage at the bottom in a different color that says this will not add to your tax bill. So I added that. I put it in a brighter yellow. Same with the following slide on the capital improvement fund.
It's white on mine. No, mine.
Are you looking at the one that's attached to the agenda?
Yeah, I think it was updated since I downloaded. Actually, this is directly from the.
Mine's yellow.
Mine's white.
It's all green and gold, Chris.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's going to be yellow in the product anyway. So.
The following slide, there we go, with Article 6 on the school budget. I did include that box at the bottom that had that same information that states that the spending per equalized pupil is estimated to be at 2.17, not the 2.56 that will be on the ballot. And I put it in yellow, and I think I made it bigger than it was. I can make it even bigger if you want, but.
Can you put it on the ballot?
I can't do that. So I did include that. And other than that, that's all the changes that I made since the last review. So I will.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
1 week from tonight, right?
1 week from tonight, yes. At BFA in the library.
Just check yes all the way down.
So I'll make those last minute changes and we'll have it ready for the meeting next week.
Okay. It looks very nice.
Thank you.
I think it's pretty good.
Presentation.
Thank you.
Bond information? That's our next agenda item?
Chris, were you going to do the bond information? You were going to do the same presentation that you were.
Yes, we're glad to do it. We've done it several times. It would probably take about 15 minutes.
Because I didn't bring anything because I thought you were going to be doing that one.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, there's a bond handout, 7B.
Yes, there is a bond handout. There has been multiple presentations done. Chris, can you mention there were some made to VFA staff, some made to all the MRUSD staff?
Glad to speak to it. We had Dino has a presentation that we presented. We presented it to the BFA faculty yesterday, BFA and Northwest Texas faculty and staff yesterday afternoon. We had 2 public sessions, one at 4:30, one at 6. They were all videoed and I think available on the web page and probably on public television, public access. We presented 3 times today actually 4 times today to each of the 4 classes, including the seniors. And with the seniors, we talked about voter registration. We do have a community member coming tomorrow for that process. So it's a pretty tight presentation. I present the walkway piece about safety and do a brief overview. Laz presents the needs in both the north and south buildings. And then we conclude and take questions. It would probably be about 15-minute presentation for February 27th.
So about twice as long as the budget presentation.
Yeah.
We can reduce it. We can give you the short version if you'd like. Realistic.
No, that's fine.
That's fine, because that will also be recorded that night too, so it'll be shown on public access.
And the information is very much what you've got, Kathy, in that handout. It's just,
yep.
It just, the only real difference between what you've seen on the printed page and the presentation is there's some really neat video footage from the drones that show the walkway in winter and some of the hazards that students and staff undergo and try to go from one building to the next. And some pretty powerful imagery around the old hospital building and the need for repair there. So that's probably the only thing that would be different than what you're seeing. Materially, it's very much the same.
Any questions on the budget or the bond information?
I just wanted to mention I'm on the BFA website right now, so if you were to go to the MRUSD website and go to BFA campus and go to the menu, right on the screen it says BFA Safety and Security Project, and so there's a link right there to the videotape presentation.
Brings us to item 7C, open meeting law refresher. Some of the events this week have made me realize that maybe we're not all up to speed where we should be on electronic communications and the open meeting law. So I just wanted to quickly mention, first of all, board-wide emails are usually not necessary and not appropriate, but when you have to do it, you should blind copy everybody on the board so that someone can't reply all and hit everybody. That being said, by replying all to everybody on the board, it actually constitutes an electronic meeting that hasn't been warned and is a violation of the open meeting law. So just ask people to be very careful about that, and be careful about your electronic communications with each other, because once you get more than 5 of us, you've hit a meeting, and that can get us in trouble.
So if someone does respond in a blind copy, if someone responds to that response, blind copy,
It just goes to the
are
one
you
person.
perpetuating a blind copy meeting?
If you respond to, if I send any, usually what Brenda will do is she'll send it to everybody on the board and BCC everybody. So if I hit reply all to that, I'm only going to go to her.
It doesn't go to the.
It doesn't go to the rest of them.
Okay. Because I did receive a communication that blind BCC replied, but when you look at it, it looked like I copied everyone, but when you go into the detail, you could tell that I BCC'd. But what happens with that?
So you BCC'd everybody.
If I BCC'd everybody.
If you BCC'd everybody, then that's responding, that's actually a meeting too.
Yep.
The difference is they can't respond. See, the first communication's okay. It's the response that gets you. That's what constitutes the meeting. Because you had a conversation.
Well, I didn't, I was just for instancing, but.
Of course.
I took that.
Of course.
And I think they did clarify last year that it's perfectly okay for the director to send out meeting information to the board prior to the meeting.
Yeah.
Just for the purpose of getting us the information.
Yeah, and actually, you can have conversations if you're talking about like scheduling a meeting or something like that, but it's really a tight window as to what can be said in a meeting. I think probably for future agenda items, it might be a good idea to just have a refresher course on open meeting law and electronic communication. Doesn't hurt. But it's been a number of years since we've had it. Probably never had it under Maple Run. Now that I think about it. So. Okay. Enough said on that.
I just need another point of clarification.
Sure.
So if somebody sends an email out to everyone and someone responds and blind copy responds to that one person and we're to blind copy the rest.
That's a conversation.
It's a violation.
Because everybody sees it.
Yep.
But then the person who originated that got responded to, if that person were to reply all back, they would only get,
Yes.
like me, if
So
I were the person.
yes, by blind
I
copy,
just try to, I just had to play that out a little bit.
you stop the chain. You kill the chain by blind copy.
Unless everybody responds blind copying to everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, and then again, then you're having a meeting.
Right, so there's my confusion.
Yes.
Right there.
Right.
I just did it, yep, thank you.
Okay.
That was mine. Good thing that didn't happen, man.
Yeah, lucky there. Along those lines, I'm going to move to item 8A, which is roles and responsibility of the board chair. Next meeting, you folks will be choosing a new chair for this board. And I wanted to, I've had some questions, and I just wanted to kind of go over, as you're thinking about who may want to be that chair or who you may want to be the chair, just to know the things that the board chair does and the commitment and the things that they have to deal with. So I just basically put a bunch of bullets down of things that pretty much done every year, and it's more than just running a meeting. Running a meeting is really kind of the easy part. But there's also the education, understanding the open meeting law, when you can go into an executive session and when you can't. And that's something that the board chair really has to understand and stick to his guns on, because there have been a number of times, administrators love to go into executive session. And you really have to be clear as to when you can and when you can't. And Kevin and I have had many arguments over that over the past 2 years. So that's important. Probably the key things working with the superintendent on setting the agenda and making sure once the meeting starts that the meetings don't meander off the agenda, because now you're dealing with the open meeting law again. You get off your warned agenda and you go down some rabbit hole. You know, anybody from the community could claim, hey, if I'd have known you were going to talk about busing, I would have come. You know, that came out of nowhere. Another reason I put this list together is because I found it to be quite different from when I was board chair at City School. A lot of the activities are the same, but the dynamics are completely different. And this list probably doesn't capture that, but it was much different. So every year, attending the training with the between chairs and superintendents, that's 8 hours, usually down at Lake Maury. Supporting individual members in their development, various seminars. You get to respond to community emails and phone calls, which take a great deal of time. Budget presentations, you get to write the annual report. Sometimes I do superintendent evaluations. Teacher contracts, I sign every teacher's contract. Not every board chair does, superintendent doesn't. But I always have, because for 2 reasons. One, I'm authorized by the board to do that, so I felt like that's not something I should just delegate to the central office to print my name on a contract. And also, every teacher knows that I've held their contract and signed it. And when I started doing that, I had a number of teachers come up to me and just say thank you for actually looking at my contract and signing it. So I hope that's something the next board chair will continue, but it's up to them. Master agreements, diplomas, that's one of the fun parts. Get to sign all the diplomas, which is actually more than the teacher contract. Once in a while, you've got to write letters to the editor to, advocate for the district. Communicating with Kevin is key. There's a lot of back and forth, and Kevin likes to bounce things off you, and so it's not a lot, but sometimes, he wants to talk, and you got to pick up the phone and find time for him. It always works out. Representing the board, positive light, goes without saying. Maintaining positive communications with Employees Association, that's something else I worked really hard on. And I think it paid off in our Maple Run negotiations. The fact that we were actually able to get the contract that we did. Anyway. So I hope that continues. Representing the board at Convocation every year. VSDA functions. There's usually a couple of those a year. Meeting with local legislatures on occasion. There were times when I'd have coffee with a couple of our legislatures on Saturday mornings just to talk about what's going on and what works for us. Had to give testimony to the state legislature, the agency of ed. And the state board. That's right. I like to attend Fairfield town meetings. to answer the questions, although they have to suspend the rules to allow me to speak. But they're always very gracious to do that. And I try to answer the questions as best I can. It's still a little bit different for everybody because they're used to a town meeting type environment rather than, you know, what I can provide as a representative from Maple Run. I think it's good for the board chair to be here. Creating and maintaining relationships with the superintendent and all the administrators. This was one of the things that Maple Run was new with Maple Run. Before you know, when I was a single district, I could just basically, you had the superintendent, you had the principals. Now, for the superintendent, you have a whole bunch of principals, a whole bunch of administrators. So. And then represent the board with press and media, give interviews when required. So I had to do it a couple times with the paper and once on TV. So I guess, you know, so where I'm coming from on this is there's a lot that goes on that's not at a meeting, and it's a pretty serious investment in time. So I just hope you guys take that into account when you choose the next leader. The better one. All right, so we'll move on now to item 8B, which is SRO to join SACS after February break.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I just wanted to, this is just an FYI,
Okay.
but I thought you might like to hear it before you saw the newspaper article, not this weekend, but next weekend, where we introduce Paul Moritz, who's going to be our SRO. He's going to be part-time from now until they can backfill his position at the police department. And then he'll be full-time, and it'll be no later than the start of next school year. So we'll be having someone half-time as soon as we get back from February break. So it's something we've been talking about for a while, and it's now all set and ready to go. And he's going to be helping us. My parent community council doesn't know yet because I didn't tell anybody till we were actually able to pull it off. But we were able to pull it off, so now we're letting people know. Our parent community council has set up a Survive Vermont night for March 28th. So on March 7th, he'll meet the parent community council and help us with the preparation for the Survive Vermont night on March 28th that Chief Taylor is going to actually do for us with all the other partners. So it's just something we've been working on for a while. We were able to make it happen, and we're just letting everybody know. We moved pretty fast once we were able to get over the hurdles.
Is it grant funded or is it?
Yeah, it's grant funded.
For how many years? One year grant funded position?
No, it's a grant that we had that we were able to use to fund this, to fund the SRO, which is a purchase service. It's not an employee of the district. It's more, you're purchasing a service through the police department.
Right, but if you want to continue that service in subsequent years, you have to.
Yeah, we're fine.
We're using our own internal grant funding, not a grant through the police department or anything like that.
So it's a Vermont state grant or a federal?
No, we're using grant funds that we have available to us. It's IEP Medicaid grant funds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, brings us to other business. Look for a motion to approve the warrants. They're attachment 9A.
Move that warrants be accepted.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any discussion on the warrants?
Yeah, Mike was second.
I'm sorry?
No, he heard it.
Yeah, Mike second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Warrants approved 8-0. Administrators report, Sean?
My report is attached. The first page of it is a document that I've handed out throughout the community so that folks in Fairfield would get a chance to get some information about the school, which doesn't happen at town meeting day anymore. So I wanted to make sure that I had a way to communicate with everybody in town. So I'll direct your attention to that. I have nothing else to add.
It was nice finding them at the community center.
Oh, great. Yeah, I put them everywhere I could think of.
It was good.
Put them at Chester's.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Just to the principals. Start with you, Chris.
I guess I stepped on my own line because I was going to talk about the building project. But it really was a great opportunity to be able to talk to students today. In particular, we had the 4 groups come in. Laz was with us, and it was really good. The students asked some very appropriate and insightful questions, and I was really pleased to be able to bring them into the dialogue. So it was a good session with the students. I did also want to mention, just as far as some really exceptional events, the Pink in the Rink was done a couple of days ago. It was on Monday evening, and there was a tremendous community event, aside from the fact that we have some outstanding hockey players, both girls and boys, but a lot of folks wore pink. The kids had pink on their sticks, and it was all to raise money for breast cancer and breast cancer awareness, and that was really exciting. And Dan Marlowe did a terrific job, as did the coaches and staff, in running raffles, and it was just very festive and for a very worthy cause. So I was very excited about that, and it was fun. Still couldn't get the chill out of my bones for about 24 hours, but it was a great event, and I do want to give a plug for the Poetry Out Loud. Very nice opportunity for about, I think, 16 or 18 participants. Nate Archambault from our English department ran that, and we had some faculty members who judged. And as you well know, for young people to stand up in front of a crowd and recite poetry with emotion, feeling, was really very, very impressive. So we had a good week.
Shannon, anything to add?
I would add that music districts were January 31st, and I was really excited to get a picture from Armand from the chorus, and it was a very large chorus, almost 70 students, 34 of which were from BFA. So that speaks to our strong choral program and arts in general. I texted back and I said domination, and he wrote back total domination. So that was just really fun, and having been in district choirs when I was in high school, that was really exciting for me.
We have a teacher in our social studies department, Dave Ryder, who has taken upon himself to form just a small local wellness team right within our school after some of the more difficult events that we had at BFA happen in our community. He just decided that he wanted to find a way to offer spaces to students or adults in the building to participate in almost sort of pop-up wellness activities. There might be some yoga, there might be some meditation, there might be some mindfulness activities. So it's very, very new right now. The meetings that we've had so far have included guidance. Preston was there, Stephanie Hodgman was there, the nurses were there, Desiree Gunter was there. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anyone else. There was a nice mix of faculty and staff. He reached out to Rise Vermont, and their wellness specialist, Jessica Frost, came and joined us at the last meeting. And she's finding different classes and activities that our students and our faculty can go to get trained in wellness and then bring it back to the building. So I don't know exactly what it's going to look like now. We're looking at spaces, how to staff that, or when it would happen. But I was just really impressed and proud that this faculty member reached out and said, I think this is something we could really do together. And then the response that he got to that. So I felt really good about that.
Leanne.
Hi. Tagging on to the Trout in the Classroom, our outdoor technology program partnered with the Vermont Fish and Wildlife, and they went ice fishing on one of those cold days in January. I was a little nervous, called Kathy Fink, made sure everything was all copacetic to make sure the kids could go out on the ice, and she said thumbs up. So it was a whole day of being in the classroom, learning about the safety hazards, checking the thickness of ice, all the stuff that's really important before you go out on the ice. And then the second day, they actually went out for the day. It was cold, but the sun was shining, and they went ice fishing. So a lot of kids have done that with their families, but for a lot of kids that was new, and they were really excited to have that be a part of their curriculum.
The other piece I wanted to share with you, I had touched on this last meeting, was we have a tech and engineering day, and we also have our mock interview happening the same day. So while all of our juniors and seniors are at the complex, thank you, Dave Kimmel, doing their mock interviews, and again, remember, all of you are invited to be interviewers to support our students. We have 5 schools that are going to be sending middle schoolers to come and participate in tech and engineering activities. So they're competitions, and then there's an award ceremony in the Performing Arts Center at BFA. So I just want to make sure you knew about that. That's March 20th, all day long. And then lastly, February is Career and Technical Education Month. It's awareness around career and technical education. And we are hosting the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce Mixer tomorrow, 5:30 in the Hideaway. There will be goodies from Chef Adam and his students.
Dave Kimmel wrote, he apologizes he can't be here. He has the same illness that I had last week, I think, but he did send a attachment to the board for everybody that they can read. I'm not going to read it out loud. I mean, you guys can read it. It is updated there.
He did say he was sorry to miss the caravans. That's how he started.
Yes. Angela.
Hi there. So I just wanted to let the board know tomorrow night we have first and second grade fine arts night. So they have their artwork displayed and they will be singing and they do some dance moves. Our new music teacher, Aaron Barsumian, who's been involved in the Convocation work, he incorporates a lot of movement, so it'll be a fun performance. And then want to acknowledge, we just got notification this week that SATEC from the Vermont Department of Health and the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports awarded our organization to receive the 2019 Governor's Excellence in Worksite Wellness Silver Level Award. And that is really the driving force of Lisa Sutton, who is our wellness coordinator, and she brings a lot of information and support around staff wellness, which is really helpful. But this was a great announcement that we received that award for the work that's being done. So.
Jason, anything to add?
Just 2 things real quick. The first is we're in the midst of Spirit Week this week, so it's kind of a fun and uplifting time with different themes each day of the week as we're gearing up to roll into vacation, and it culminates on Friday afternoon with the 8th grade versus staff basketball game. And hopefully there are no staff injuries. We've had a little bad string of luck lately when we have middle-aged folks participating in athletics with youth. So we're hoping we turn the corner on that one. And the other one is just that we continue our work on trying to get Farm to School off the ground. Unfortunately, last week our trip down to Randolph was canceled because of the snow, and I missed the previous board meeting on a 5-hour commute home from Montpelier after receiving our grant award from the Secretary of Ag. So we're looking forward to that and hopeful to get on board with the rest of the K-8s who are already doing some great Farm to School stuff. So.
You said the ball game's Friday?
Yes, Friday afternoon. Yes.
Come on in.
It'll start somewhere around 2:30ish.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bring your jersey, bring your shoes.
And a camera.
Sure, it's policy.
Joan, anything else to add?
So this is, for us, this is culminating event week. This is the week leading up for February break. And so we have all kinds of culminating events going on throughout the school and each learning community. And tomorrow night is Fine Arts Night for us for 7th and 8th grade. They do a Fine Arts Night every trimester after the students have finished another round of electives. So that'll be tomorrow night. And a group across all of Maple Run has now kicked off Convocation for 2019. And we will be having the Student Day just like we did last year, only the Student Day that will have representatives from all of the schools will happen on March 7th. So we're getting ready to start off for next year.
What do you mean the Student Day?
So there's a day when we bring students in from all 5 schools and have their voice help us design what the presentation will look like
At Convocation.
for Convocation. That's what we started last year, and we're trying to use the same model this year, but last year we started pretty late. We started like May. Now we're starting in March. We're very excited.
Sean, anything else?
No, well, okay, so thanks to the Garabays for the playground. I forgot to say it before. I really just could not have done it without them and their support and the fundraising that you've done and just everything to make that happen for our kids is amazing. And you've all heard about Leah Rushford, our pre-K teacher, because Melanie brings her up all the time. She's amazing, she's wonderful, she's here tonight, that's her. So, just saying. That's all.
Make it everybody.
Jim, I have something. It's not on the agenda, but I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for your dedication as the chair of Maple Run Unified School District, your incredible professionalism, and your passion for consolidation, which helped create Maple Run Unified School District. And I appreciate your sense of humor, which I only understand, right? And I just, we all want to wish you success in your new opportunity for work-life balance.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's really been an honor working with all of you. I mean, some of you have been around 10, 11, 12 years. This guy talked me into joining the board. Martha, you've been there forever. You know, Joan, I remember your first day. So, it's been great, and everybody on this board. Gosh, I've been with most of you for a great number of years, so it's really been a lot of fun, and I have no worries about walking away because I know it's in good hands, and we'll march on. So. That being said, I would just add one item for a future meeting, and that's maybe an open meeting law refresher. Maybe someone can pass that on to Kevin, that's something we should get scheduled. That being said, adjourn my last meeting. Thanks, everybody.